God says, before you react, before you let your emotions take over, pause and breathe with me for a moment, because this message is not about revenge, it is not about fear, and it is not about exposing anyone publicly. It is about clarity, growth, and your peace. The person who once hurt you, who once broke your trust, who once walked away or turned against you in a way you never expected, is no longer standing in the same confidence they once had. Something inside them has shifted. They are reflecting. They are remembering. They are feeling the weight of what they did. But listen carefully, child, their desperation is not only about losing you, it is about losing the version of themselves that felt powerful while hurting you, and that realization is uncomfortable for them. You may not see it yet, but distance has created perspective for both of you. While you were healing quietly, rebuilding yourself, learning to trust again, and strengthening your boundaries, they were slowly becoming aware of what they lost. God says, your silence has spoken louder than any argument ever could. Your decision to step back, to grow, to focus on your own peace instead of chasing explanations, has forced them into reflection. Reflection creates discomfort, and discomfort creates desperation. But even now, even in their restless thoughts, there is still something they are not ready to admit openly. They are hiding the full truth of why they betrayed you, because admitting it would mean confronting their own insecurity, their own fear, and their own immaturity. Understand this clearly, their desperation does not mean you need to run back. It does not mean you need to reopen old wounds. It simply means that your value has become undeniable. When you stopped trying to prove yourself, you became powerful. When you stopped begging to be understood, you became clear. God says, the shift you feel right now is not about them returning dramatically, it is about you recognizing how far you have come. The hidden thing they are still carrying is guilt mixed with pride. Guilt wants to apologize. Pride wants to protect their ego. That internal battle is why they appear confused, distant, or indirect. You might notice small signs. They may try to check on you subtly. They may ask mutual friends about you. They may behave differently in public. But they are still hiding their full intention because they fear rejection. They fear that the version of you they once knew no longer exists. And they are right. You have changed. You are stronger. You are calmer. You are not reacting from pain anymore. God says, that is your breakthrough. Not their regret. Not their confusion. Your growth. There is something powerful about this moment. You once questioned yourself. You wondered if you were not enough. You replayed conversations in your mind. But now, clarity is replacing doubt. God says, betrayal often reveals more about the betrayer than the betrayed. What they are hiding is the truth that they acted from insecurity, not superiority. They feared your growth. They feared your independence. They feared losing control. And when fear controls someone, they make decisions that damage trust. Now they are sitting with the consequences of those decisions. Do not let curiosity pull you backward. You do not need every hidden detail to move forward. Sometimes the hidden thing is not a secret plan or dramatic twist. sometimes it is simply unresolved guilt and unspoken regret. God says, your responsibility is not to uncover every hidden layer of their emotions, your responsibility is to protect your peace. If they come forward honestly, listen calmly. If they remain silent, continue growing. Your power does not depend on their confession. Right now, what matters most is your emotional balance. You have rebuilt yourself in ways they never expected. You learned to set boundaries without anger. You learned to let go without chaos. You learned to value yourself without needing validation. That transformation is what truly unsettles them. God says, when someone realizes they lost access to your energy, your loyalty, your support, and your love, they begin to understand your worth more clearly than ever before. But listen carefully, child, desperation does not automatically equal change. Reflection is the first step. Accountability is the second. Consistent action is the third. Until all three align, do not confuse emotion with transformation. You are not required to rush into forgiveness or reconnection. You are allowed to move at your own pace. God says, your healing took time, your decisions deserve time as well. This message is not here to create fear. It is here to create awareness. The person who betrayed you is now facing the mirror of their own choices. Whether they fully admit it or not, they know they mishandled something valuable. They know they underestimated your strength. They know they misjudged your capacity to rise without them. And that realization is humbling. Now the real question is not what they are hiding. The real question is who you have become. You are no longer chasing closure, you are creating clarity. You are no longer reacting from hurt, you are responding from wisdom. God says, your peace is your protection. Keep building your life. Keep strengthening your mindset. Keep moving forward with confidence. If reconciliation ever happens, it will happen from maturity, not desperation. And if it does not, you will still win because you have already reclaimed yourself. Take this moment as confirmation that your growth is visible, even to those who once underestimated you. Do not let old pain control new opportunities. Do not let curiosity disrupt your calm. You are not the same person who was betrayed. You are stronger, wiser, and more grounded. God says, your next chapter is not about proving them wrong, it is about living so fully aligned that betrayal no longer defines your story. God says, now that you understand that their desperation is real, you must also understand something deeper. Desperation often comes from realization, and realization often comes too late. When they walked away from you, when they chose pride over honesty, when they allowed ego to speak louder than loyalty, they believed they would feel stronger without you. They believed distance would validate their decision. They believed time would erase the weight of what they did. But time does not erase truth. Time reveals it. And in that revelation, they are beginning to see clearly what they tried to ignore. While you were rebuilding your confidence and healing your heart quietly, they were confronting something they did not expect, the absence of your energy. God says, your presence was more powerful than they ever admitted. Your support, your patience, your understanding, your consistency, these were not small things. They were stabilizing forces in their life. And when those forces disappeared, imbalance entered. That imbalance created reflection. Reflection created regret. And regret created desperation. But even now, even as they recognize your value, they are still hiding one important thing: the full depth of their fear. Their betrayal was not only about the situation that happened on the surface. It was about their internal insecurity. They feared your growth. They feared your independence. They feared that one day you would outgrow them emotionally or mentally. So instead of rising with you, they tried to control the situation. God says, when someone feels threatened by your strength, they may choose sabotage instead of support. That was never about your weakness, it was about their discomfort. And now, as they watch you move forward without collapsing, they are realizing that you were never the problem. You might sense this shift energetically. Maybe you feel them thinking about you. Maybe their name crosses your mind unexpectedly. Maybe there are small signs of curiosity from their side. God says, these signs are not coincidence. When someone realizes they lost something valuable, their thoughts begin to circle back. But remember this clearly: missing you is not the same as changing. Feeling regret is not the same as growth. Emotional discomfort does not automatically equal maturity. That is why you must stay grounded. There is something they are still not ready to say openly. They are hiding how deeply they underestimated you. They are hiding how much they relied on your emotional stability. They are hiding how insecure they felt standing next to your strength. Admitting these truths would require vulnerability. And vulnerability is something they struggled with before. God says, true transformation requires honesty with oneself first. Until they are honest internally, their external behavior may remain inconsistent. Do not allow this awareness to reopen wounds. This message is not here to pull you backward, it is here to strengthen your discernment. You are no longer the person who would ignore red flags to keep someone close. You are no longer the person who would sacrifice your peace to maintain connection. You have evolved. You have learned to value stability over intensity. God says, that evolution is your protection. The betrayal you experienced was painful, but it refined your boundaries. It sharpened your intuition. It strengthened your independence. There is also something powerful happening within you right now. Instead of reacting emotionally to the idea that they are desperate, you are observing calmly. That calmness is growth. In the past, their emotional shifts might have controlled your mood. Now, you remain steady. God says, emotional independence is freedom. When someone no longer controls your peace, you have truly healed. And that is the most significant transformation in this entire situation. If they approach you, listen carefully to their words but watch their consistency even more closely. Words are easy during regret. Consistency is difficult during transformation. God says, do not measure sincerity by intensity, measure it by stability. If they truly want to rebuild anything, they must demonstrate maturity, accountability, and patience. And even then, you are allowed to decide what feels aligned with your growth. You do not owe anyone access simply because they now feel desperate. The hidden thing they carry is the realization that you were not replaceable. They may have convinced themselves that they could find the same loyalty elsewhere, the same understanding, the same support. But now they understand something important: authentic connection cannot be duplicated easily. God says, you were rare in ways you did not even recognize at the time. Your patience, your depth, your sincerity were not ordinary. And now that they feel your absence fully, that rarity is undeniable. Still, your focus must remain forward. Your life is not paused waiting for their realization. Your growth continues. Your opportunities continue. Your peace continues. God says, do not let someone else's regret distract you from your momentum. The chapter of betrayal was not the end of your story, it was the turning point of your self-awareness. You have become stronger, clearer, and more aligned with who you truly are. This moment is about empowerment, not drama. It is about understanding your worth without needing validation from the person who once hurt you. It is about recognizing that their desperation confirms your value but does not define your future. God says, your future is shaped by your decisions now, not by their mistakes then. Keep walking forward with confidence. Keep honoring your boundaries. Keep choosing peace over chaos. The person who betrayed you is now confronting the consequences of their own insecurity. Whether they fully admit it or not, they are learning a lesson. And you are learning something too. That your strength was never dependent on their approval. You are not the same person who was hurt. You are someone who survived, healed, and grew. God says, that growth is your true victory. And nothing they hide, nothing they regret, and nothing they realize now can take that away from you. God says, now you are entering the phase where the truth no longer disturbs you, it empowers you. There was a time when even the thought of what happened would tighten your chest, when questions would replay in your mind and you would wonder what you did wrong, how things shifted so suddenly, and why someone who once stood close to you could turn distant or disloyal. But look at you now. You are no longer chasing explanations. You are no longer replaying old conversations. You are standing in a place of clarity, and that clarity is what unsettles them the most. The person who betrayed you is not only desperate because they miss you, they are desperate because they see that you survived without them, and that realization changes everything. When they chose their ego over honesty, they assumed you would stay emotionally attached. They assumed you would reach out first. They assumed you would keep the door open no matter how they behaved. God says, sometimes people only understand your value when you withdraw your energy completely. Your silence was not weakness. Your silence was strength. While they expected reaction, you chose reflection. While they expected chaos, you chose calm. That calm forced them to sit alone with their own decisions, and sitting alone with truth is uncomfortable for someone who avoided accountability. What they are still hiding is deeper than guilt. They are hiding the fact that they felt insecure standing beside you. They felt the difference in emotional maturity. They felt the stability in your mindset. They felt that you were growing, expanding, becoming more self-aware, and instead of matching your growth, they allowed comparison to turn into resentment. God says, when someone feels small next to your light, they may try to dim it instead of growing their own. That dimming is what betrayal looks like. It is not always dramatic. Sometimes it is subtle distance, hidden jealousy, quiet disrespect. But now that your light has grown even brighter without them, they realize they never truly understood what they had. You might wonder if they will ever admit this fully. The answer is not simple. Pride is powerful. Ego protects itself even when it knows it was wrong. God says, awareness does not always equal confession. They may understand internally that they acted from insecurity, but saying it out loud requires humility. And humility is a process. That is why you must not depend on their apology for your peace. Your peace has already been rebuilt without their validation. There is another layer here that you need to understand. Their desperation is not only emotional, it is energetic. They sense that you are detaching completely. They sense that your attention is no longer available. They sense that your life is expanding in ways that do not require their presence. God says, when someone feels they are losing access permanently, urgency rises. That urgency may show through sudden kindness, unexpected messages, indirect communication, or subtle attempts to reconnect. But remember, urgency and transformation are not the same. Urgency reacts to loss. Transformation rebuilds character. The hidden thing they are carrying right now is fear, fear that you will never look at them the same way again, fear that you have outgrown them emotionally, fear that they miscalculated the situation completely. They thought you would always be there. They thought your loyalty was unconditional. Now they see that loyalty does not mean tolerance of disrespect. God says, boundaries are not rejection, they are self-respect. And when you finally placed those boundaries firmly, it shifted the entire dynamic. Notice how you no longer feel the same intensity when thinking about them. The attachment has softened. The pain has quieted. You are thinking clearly instead of emotionally. That clarity is growth. In the past, their behavior could shake your stability. Now, even the idea of their desperation does not move you the same way. God says, emotional control is power. When you no longer react impulsively, you are operating from wisdom. If they come forward again, listen carefully but stay centered. Ask yourself one question: do their actions match their words consistently over time? Consistency reveals truth. Anyone can speak beautifully when they feel loss. Not everyone can maintain maturity when comfort returns. God says, do not be impressed by temporary change, look for sustained effort. Real growth is steady, not dramatic. It is quiet, disciplined, and consistent. At the same time, understand something important: you do not need their return to validate your journey. You are not healing in order to reopen the same chapter. You are healing to step into a stronger one. Whether they change or not, your direction remains forward. God says, your life is not paused for someone else's awakening. Your future is unfolding with or without their realization. The truth that is coming to light is not only about their regret. It is about your elevation. You are no longer defined by what someone did to you. You are defined by how you responded. You chose growth over bitterness. You chose clarity over confusion. You chose peace over chaos. And that choice reshaped you. Now, even if they return with sincerity, you will approach the situation from strength, not need. This entire situation has prepared you for deeper discernment in future relationships. You now recognize red flags faster. You trust your intuition more. You communicate your expectations clearly. God says, lessons learned through pain become protection in the future. What once hurt you has now strengthened you. And that strength is visible. It shows in your calm voice, in your steady decisions, in your quiet confidence. The person who betrayed you is learning that you were not easily replaceable. They are learning that emotional stability is rare. They are learning that loyalty is not common. But whether they fully admit it or not, that realization is shaping them. And you are shaping yourself in a different direction, toward growth, toward peace, toward alignment with people who do not fear your light. Do not let nostalgia cloud your clarity. Remember the full picture, not only the good moments. Growth means seeing reality without distortion. God says, you are no longer operating from illusion. You are operating from truth. And truth creates freedom. The desperation you sense from them is confirmation that you were never weak, you were simply too patient. Now patience has turned into power. Your next chapter is not about exposing what they hid. It is about honoring what you learned. It is about stepping into connections that match your maturity. It is about building a life that does not revolve around someone who once underestimated you. God says, you have already won the moment you chose self-respect over attachment. Whatever they are hiding will eventually reveal itself in their actions. But your focus is no longer on uncovering their truth. Your focus is on living yours fully. Stay calm. Stay aware. Stay grounded. You are not the same person who was betrayed. You are someone who transformed. And that transformation is the real story now. God says the reason this situation still echoes in your life is not because you are weak, and it is not because you are meant to suffer longer, it is because this chapter is finalizing itself in a deeper way than you realize, and when a chapter finalizes properly it leaves no emotional debt behind. You once carried confusion, you once questioned your worth, you once replayed conversations trying to decode hidden meanings, but today you are standing in a very different internal space, a space where your thoughts are calmer, your reactions are slower, and your heart no longer rushes toward what once hurt you. That shift is not accidental. That shift is the breakthrough. And the person who betrayed you can feel that energetic distance even if you never announced it. There is something about emotional detachment that changes power dynamics instantly. When you stop chasing answers, when you stop trying to fix what someone else broke, when you stop trying to be understood by someone who never truly listened, the entire structure of the relationship collapses quietly. They expected your attachment to remain. They expected your patience to continue. They expected you to keep giving access even after boundaries were crossed. But now they sense something unfamiliar from you, stability without them.